Time now for a look at the day's top business news. For that, we're joined by Brian Quinn. Brian, going to start, in fact, in China, where the government is hitting back at US sanctions on some of its top telecom firms.
That's right, Eva. Beijing has announced new measures aimed at protecting Chinese companies from what it calls unjustified foreign laws. The new legislation will allow Chinese courts to themselves sanction companies that comply with foreign restrictions. The move comes as the New York Stock Exchange gets set to delist the shares of three major Chinese telecoms groups. That following an executive order from Donald Trump in November citing the company's ties to the Chinese military. Well, U.S. investment banks, including Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, are themselves planning to delist hundreds of investment products linked to the telecoms firms. Some Chinese analysts say the conflict could likely push Beijing to further develop its own domestic capital markets.
I think one direct impact is that it will encourage China to develop its own domestic capital market, because it was in the 14th five-year plan. Technology is the number one priority in policy, and to develop a high-end technology sector, China needs to develop a much bigger and more active capital market in both stocks and in debts.
Okay, so how are the Asian markets shaping up, Brian?
Well, Eve, it's a mixed bag for equities indexes in Asia today. Hong Kong's Hang Seng making some gains while Shanghai declines. This is the latest consumer data out of China has beaten expectations. Kospi in Seoul seesawing around the flat line. Shares in South Korean automaker Hyundai soar over 8% on expectations growing for a partnership with Apple to produce new electric vehicles. Tokyo is closed on Monday for a holiday. No stock exchange data there.
Okay, well, next we're going to look at the world's top annual showcase for the hottest new gadgets and tech. This year, however, no hands-on demonstrations. The entire thing has gone virtual.
Well, the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, normally takes place in January at the Las Vegas Convention Center with several days of conferences and major product unveilings. COVID-19, though, has changed all that. For the first time ever, CES is going all online for 2021. Starting Monday, today, exhibitors will instead be beaming their demos live over the internet for the 100,000 or so registered attendees. The Consumer Technology Association says the financial fallout from the cancellation of the physical event will be severe, both for its group and for Las Vegas. They're determined, though, to make the best of it, saying a return to normal even in 2022 is looking unlikely. Take a listen.
We didn't want to have people as avatars jumping from exhibit to exhibit. We didn't want to replicate a show floor. We wanted to give the companies the opportunity to present themselves. And that's what we offered. We invested, we partnered with Microsoft. We planned for 1,000 exhibitors, and right now we're almost at 2,000, and we might have to cut it off.
Well, next, Brian, as Brexit takes effect, the once relatively simple prospect of EU citizens moving to live and work in the United Kingdom has become much more complicated.
Eve, apparently there's a time-honored tradition of young French people crossing the channel to work in the UK temporarily. Finding a job in a pub or as an au pair has long been a good way to make some extra money and work on one's English. But Brexit could spell the end of such casual employment, as Monty Francis and our colleagues at France Television's report.
For many young people in France, it's an opportunity fading before their eyes. Jobs in the tourism sector, at hotels and restaurants, and for those who work as au pairs in the UK, things just got a lot more complicated. In the heart of London, in an upscale restaurant, this bartender is from Nantes. He arrived last September before the new rules went into effect. In just 2 weeks, he found a job in spite of the pandemic.
Londres, c'est la capitale mondiale du cocktail. C'était à la fois pour améliorer mon anglais, mais aussi pour apprendre des meilleurs.
To get the same job after Brexit, he would have to get a visa. It requires a fee of 700 euros and a 2-month wait without any guarantees. Nothing like when he arrived not that long ago.
Ça s'est fait très vite. Sur 3 semaines, j'ai décidé de partir. S'il avait fallu avoir un visa, je pense pas que j'aurais eu le temps, ni l'envie, ni la motivation.
The UK work permit is now under a point system like in Australia. 70 points are needed. You get 10 points for speaking English well, 20 points for a job offer, an additional 20 for a job offer with an annual salary of more than 30,000 euros, and 20 for a job in a sector where workers are needed. A number of employers are hoping for an exemption from the point system for the next few months, so the job market will have a chance to recover.
Finally, Brian, a number of American companies are now suspending political donations to those lawmakers who supported Donald Trump, his bid to overturn the U.S. presidential vote.
Yeah, top hotel chain Marriott International and insurance group Blue Cross Blue Shield both say they're halting campaign contributions to members of Congress who voted against certifying Joe Biden's Electoral College victory. Republican Senators Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley are among the leaders of that effort to reject election results in a handful of key battleground states. Banking giant Citigroup as well has singled out Hawley in its decision to pause all political contributions during the coming fiscal quarter. Walmart says it plans to review its political giving in light of last week's violent riot at the U.S. Capitol. Some might say it might be better overall if there were a bit less of giant political donations in the U.S. overall, but at least I suppose that's something.
Brian Quinn with our business update. Thanks indeed for that.